a little bit about, go back to my book of shadows a little bit. Let's see, excuse me, I need a drink here. Something else that we're doing is Samhain as the interval. An interval when time and space are temporarily suspended. The veil is very thin between the worlds. Now you can look this up anywhere on the internet, and you can talk to any witch who's probably posted a video, has probably already said this. So I don't mean to repeat. But I love this because, I have a Celtic interest, a very strong Celtic interest. And the Celts used to leave food outside for their wandering dead all the time, and leave candles lit in their windows to help guide their spirits or their loved ones. And another thing they did was sometimes they would leave apples. They would bury apples along the roads or along paths for spirits who didn't, either to help people spirits find their way, or for spirits who did not have loved ones to do that for them. So that's part of what we're going to be doing tonight in our ritual. We will be burying an apple, so that's kind of interesting. Another thing that they did were they would hollow out turnips that they had carved. Also, the wee folk themselves were active as well, apparently, not just the spirits. So they were often into pulling pranks on unsuspected humans, so traveling around after dark was not advised. So sometimes people would go to the extent, if they had to go out, to disguise themselves in some way, and they would maybe make disguises of straw to try to fool the spirits. Importantly, this was a time when the cattle were slaughtered. Remember, the winter, Samhain, the season of Samhain, not necessarily on this day, but the season of Samhain is the final harvest. So cattle were slaughtered that they didn't have to take care of during the winter. Because remember, any animal that was left had to be fed and had to be, and food gets pretty scarce when it's very cold and you don't have things. So any cattle that were left, they could not keep. They would keep what they could, but any other ones that were ready for slaughter would be slaughtered. There was great feasting, and look at our culture as well, how we have great feasting at this time of the year. Between now and Yule, there's all kinds of feasting going on, right? And Christmas and New Year's, it's just all, our holidays all revolve around food. Is that a coincidence? No, it's not. So they would have great feasts, and after they had, also any crops that were still left in the fields were left as an offering to the spirits. So they pulled in all that they could. What they could not get, they left. What they could not slaughter to store, they slaughtered, they ate, they feasted. And after they had feasted, they lit bonfires, and those bonfires were originally called bone fires, because after they had feasted on the roast, they would throw the bones into the fire. That would give as an offering for a healthy and prosperous and plentiful livestock next year. Okay. They also did some things. They would cast stones into the fire. They would write maybe a name or a symbol to represent a person on a stone and throw that into the fire and wait until morning, pull it out and read the stone and see. It would maybe be a way to tell how your year was going to be, however your stone ended up. Hearth fires were also lit from the village bonfire, and the ashes were spread over the harvested field to protect and bless the land. Oh, does that sound familiar? Something that we did today. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Okay, so getting on to our celebration of Samhain. Trying to hurry this through. I'm sorry it's so long. What we're going to be doing tonight, since we've already done our ritual, our public ritual, there's still some things that have to be done here. And one of the things that we're going to do is on our ancestor altar. We will begin in the ancestor altar in the bedroom, which you did see. We will call the names of the dead. We ring a bell. We call the name of the ancestor, somebody on the altar. I will call mine. My husband called his. Somebody represented there in a photograph. We will thank them for their influences that they gave us. We will invite them to remain a loving presence in our lives. We will toast them. And if you saw in the video, you might have noticed that I did have a few bottles of wine on the Day of the Dead in the corner there, altar. And so we will toast them with some wine. Then we will bid them farewell as they go on their journey. Not inviting them to stay behind, but hello, thank you for coming this time, and see you again. We will also recall some of our pets that have died, that have passed on, remembering a few funny things that has happened to them, and of course some friends. We do have a few friends who have passed as well. Then we will come in to this room. I have an altar across the room with me, and we're going to come in and we're going to see, we're going to finish our little mini ritual here at this altar. So I'm going to turn off the camera just for a minute, because I'm going to try to turn the camera around and show you how I have the altar dressed for Samhain. Okay, I have turned the camera around now, and you can get a little view of our really tiny little altar. I hope you weren't expecting something very large. It's very small. Kind of nice. We have room for some storage underneath, and there's the door. It's very small. I have a little witch's cupboard above, and this is another storage cupboard here. This is the table where I was sitting, opposite me. Okay, anyway, I'll show you the altar itself, and tell you a little bit what I'm going to be doing later. I have a Wheel of the Year here. I don't know if you can see it, but this is, I really love this. Remember I said in California we like to remind ourselves that of the seasons, and this is what I do. And of course here we have Samhain. And it remains to be Samhain until it becomes Yule. Just as a reminder. Okay. There's one of my corn dollars that I like to protect from my my cat people. Usually on this altar, we usually have this altar dedicated to Breege, the Celtic hearth goddess. And I usually have God and Goddess candles, but they have been replaced this time. I still have the balance of male and female here represented in my boji stones, but I have the God and Goddess candles are not present at this time. I do have, remember I talked about the apple, and there it is on the offering plate, being ready for tonight. After we come into this room, we are going to cut the apple. We have a little ceremony that we do with the apple, and then we will bury the apple out along the walkway for wandering spirits. Turnips. I had so much fun with the turnips, and I don't know if you can see them. I hope so, because they're so fun. I carved turnips instead of carving a jack-o'-lantern this year. And I have battery candles in here because we will be leaving these burning as long as they go. Hopefully they will go all night. These are actually not even turnips. I'm sort of a liar. They are rutabagas. The turnips in our store were really too small to carve. These are called turnips in some cultures. I mean, they vary all the time. In some places, depends on where you were. I believe in Scotland, these might be called, these are maybe the neeps. The turnips, the yellow turnips that they use for neeps and tatties, the side dish that they eat along with haggis a lot. Or just with maybe with bangers. Not sure. They might be called Swedes in some places as well. But here, they're called rutabagas. It doesn't matter. They're all part of the turnip family, so that's really fun. And I know you have all probably heard this a million times if you've been on the internet at all. About the first jack-o'-lantern, but I do love the story about it. Many versions of jack-o'-lantern. They're very familiar. They're very similar to the stories of the Will-o'-the-Wisp, retold all over Western Europe. But since this altar is dedicated to Breach most of the year, I like the Irish version, and that is the version that stars Stingy Jack, who was a lazy but rather shrewd, I guess, blacksmith who had the ability to trick the devil himself, which only an Irishman could do, I guess. Who he apparently met the devil in a pub and convinced the devil somehow to turn himself into a coin to pay the tab. So, of course, the devil, which was not near as smart as Stingy Jack, the Irishman, did so. But Stingy Jack, instead of paying the tab, put the coin, in his pocket and put it next to a silver cross, which he was also carrying, therefore trapping the devil inside. The devil remained there for a while. There's versions that have him coming and trying to get out and all kinds of stuff. But the gist of the matter is the devil remained there until Jack, who was much shrewder and more clever than the devil, being an Irishman, of course, he remained there until Jack decided to free him. But only after he agreed to never take his soul. Well, what a good deal this was. So eventually, it worked out okay, but Jack did die like everybody does. And because of his sinful, lazy life, he could not find a place in heaven. But because of the deal he made with the devil, he could not find a place in hell. He had nowhere to go. So he was destined to wander the earth aimlessly, looking for someplace to go. Now, he did appeal to the devil for assistance, because I guess they were really good friends at this point. But the devil just tossed him an ember from the flames of hell that would never burn out. So apparently Jack carved out a pumpkin, put the ember inside, and began carrying that around and began searching, using the light of his lit turnip now, to find a resting place. That was known. He was then, from that time, known as Jack of the Lantern. Well, that's a nice story. I think it's sort of fun. But anyway, it's a fun thing. The funnest part were the turnips. Like, I had so much fun carving the turnips. Why would you carve a pumpkin? I'm not sure. Anyway, it was really cool. Another thing I just want to say really quickly, another thing that we're going to be doing is, we will, remember I said that it is Samhain until it is not. So if you notice, I have an hourglass on the altar right there. And we will be turning that tonight to remind us that the wheel has turned. It is now Samhain. Another thing we will do in this cauldron here, I have a black candle. And we do a little tiny ceremony with the black candle. We light it. We bring the working candle from the altar candle from the bedroom. We'll bring that in lit, using that fire to light this candle. And we will do a little ceremony with the candle. Into this burning flame, I cast my weaknesses and habits that keep me from attaining my potential. And we will have these things written on a little piece of paper, which we will burn in this cauldron. When we are finished, we will extinguish the flame. And then we will relight our altar candle, the white candle here you see in the background. We will pass it through our incense. It will be lit again from the altar candle that we bring from the bedroom. And we will rededicate this altar candle on this evening. With this candle and by its light, I welcome you spirits this Samhain night. And then these candles will remain lit. These candles, the battery ones, will remain lit throughout the evening. And that is our little tiny mini ceremony that we are going to do. So, I just want to give you a little perspective. I think I can swing around real quickly and show you if the light is good. I showed you that seat. This is the table, and that was where I was sitting earlier. So it's just a very, very small, you see how small? It's a very small room. It's like 10 by 12 or 10 by 11. And that's another one of my little cupboards. We'll take a tour of that someday. I think the light is in the way. And of course, this is like it's a little bed, a guest area, or a day bed, or and a bed, and pictures. And that's it, and their door. Anyway, that's it. So anyway, I wish you all the blessings of Samhain. Thank you so much for coming to my channel. Happy New Year. I hope your Halloween was happy. I would love to see what you have done yourselves to celebrate the season and the new year. And hopefully I will be back on Sunday with a little film from Olvera Street and the Day of the Dead celebration. I hope. We'll see. We'll see if I get to it. I'm going to be gone all day tomorrow, so it's going to be a little bit of a deal. But anyway, I'm going to try. Thank you so much for watching. Again, I send you blessings.